Hello and welcome to the finals here at Grand Prix Omaha. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Reed Duke, and we've got Sam Pardee versus Brad Nelson, two very excellent Magic players with very good decks, and this is going to be a real treat. Let's get into the action right now. Black-Green Constrictor versus Temur Marvel. What are the things that the viewers at home, Reed, should be looking for to see a key juncture perhaps for each of the decks?
Well, the answer to that question is going to be slightly different here in Game 1 as it might be for the two sideboarded games. In Game 1, it's mostly going to be about the presence or absence of Aetherworks Marvel on Brad's side of the table. We know that Sam is going to be able to put together a pretty solid, inexorable offense based on most of his deck being creatures and those creatures spiraling, for example, Winding Constrictor and counters. But Brad's deck is there's a lot more variables, and if he just happens to not draw the card Aetherworks Marvel, he has a really tough time playing a fair game against this Black-Green Constrictor deck. So in Game 1, that's what we're looking for. We've already passed turn 4, and Brad did not play Marvel yet, so the game's going to continue.
See that he did play a negate there on Traverse the Ulvenwald, but now Sam Pardee is running out Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, and the semis. We got to see him ultimate Nissa, which is pretty exciting. And let's see if Brad can find himself another copy of Negate. He's cycling Dissenter's Deliverance looking for it, and he does not find it. So Sam gets to make a plant token and pass the turn back to Brad.
So Brad didn't find Negate or Censor, but he does have a good play here, taking out the Winding Constrictor. And that makes the Nissa a lot less threatening, especially since he has Rogue Refiner to attack it.
Ooh, pair of Rogue Refiners now for Nelson, who's just kind of churning through his library. And Sam's going to go ahead and chump block with the plant to save 3 loyalty from Nissa. But he really does need to deploy a couple of threats and then minus Nissa. Having the Winding Constrictor die, that's tough.
Yeah, that really changes the equation. Sam's priority here should be to put a 4 toughness blocker into play, which means the Rogue Refiners can't pester Nissa by attacking, making them plants chump block.
He's going to have to settle for 2 toughness. Oh, but Censor counters the Tireless Tracker. And you see Sam play the land after, which sometimes is, the land of shame type thing. But here he had a reason for it.
Yeah, that's such an important matchup between 2 cards in Standard is Censor versus Tireless Tracker. Censor, so much more likely to tag Tireless Tracker because you want to play the land afterwards. And yeah, it comes up there. It's big because Sam must have thought Brad didn't have the Censor after Nissa resolved the previous turn. So it's going to be extra devastating.
Yeah, so Tireless Tracker straight to the graveyard, and all Sam can do for his turn is make a plant token. 2 Rogue Refiners, and oh boy. How about Chandra Flamecaller now from Brad Nelson? Sam is falling woefully behind Brad here.
Yeah, so Brad can send 3 3-power creatures.
It looks like Brad decided just to -1 Chandra to kill the plant and then attack with the others.
Yeah, and that actually works out even better given that Sam was going to kill Chandra anyway. I would have been tempted to plus. You could still kill Nissa and keep some loyalty on Chandra, but if Brad says, you know what, I'm going to win the game if Chandra survives anyway, let me plan for the bad case scenario where Sam has never returned. Yeah. That makes sense to me too.
And Sam did have never to return, and he immediately cast it. But again, he's behind. He's the one who's facing 6 power. Now he's got Grimflayer plus a Walking Ballista, though.
Yeah, no Delirium just yet, but if the Walking Ballista goes to the graveyard, he will have a 4/4 Grimflayer.
So he can do that if he'd like at any time.
On Brad's side of the table, I believe he has Aetherworks Marvel, but he's just trying to wait to get 6 energy before he casts it, which makes a lot of sense given that Sam's deck has Dissenter's Deliverance.
Yeah, and Sam doesn't have any main deck ways to interact with Brad's hand, so it's safe there.
This time Brad plays it out because he's likely to use Rogue Refiner to block Grimflayer, and if Sam doesn't have Dissenter's Deliverance, that means the Marvel will trigger off of Brad's creatures dying in combat.
Ooh, that was a nice draw there for Sam. He plays a Whining Constrictor, and he also gets to play the Walking Ballista with an additional counter on it.
Oh, Brad's hand is the only 2 cards, 2 of the only 4 cards in his deck that he can't cast, which is 2 Ulamogs.
And he's what, 1 land away?
1 land away because he does have Shrine of the Forsaken Gods in there.
Well, he still has to like his spot here, right?
Yeah.
He's ahead on board.
Anything he draws here is huge. Anything that makes energy an untapped land. The only bad case scenario is a tapped land, basically.
How about an Ulamog?
Yeah, that's bad. Cycle Sensor.
Let's see what he finds.
He still has 20 life to work with, too.
Another Rogue Refiner.
Okay, that's a good one. That'll allow him to use the Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the course of the weekend, Brad has been erring on the side of activating Marvel on the opponent's turn, give them the smallest amount of information to work with, maybe make them attack into a possible surprise blocker. This time he's considering pretty deeply, though. One thing to think about is if he marvels and hits something that allows him to draw cards, like a Glimmer of Genius or the 4th Rogue Refiner, he would want the option to play a land.
Especially if it were a Botanical Sanctum or something along those
Exactly.
lines. Okay.
He's going to main phase Glimmer for that reason, potentially to play a land.
If you're participating in the Turbo Legacy event, please meet me in front of the
Interesting. He is going to put 2 on the bottom and decided to put it back on top.
Yeah, I think it was a land. I think he thinks, well, land might not be an above average draw here, but my situation's so good that why chance not hitting the 10th mana source for Ulamog?
Yeah, because he knows if he gets to untap and just start slamming Ulamogs a couple of turns in a row, that's going to be the game easily.
So Sam needs to somehow win the game or create a dominant board position this turn because Brad has a Marvel spin at the end of the turn or whenever he would like to use it. And then when he untaps, he's going to start hard casting Ulamogs. Time is running short for Sam Pardee.
It really is. Sam finds himself in a very tough position here in Game 1 of the finals. And that's when you start to see plays like this.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of desperation. Let's see if Brad Nelson can hit. He is spinning the wheel. Aetherworks Marvel has been activated. He's looking for an Ulamog.
It's a Harnessed Lightning.
Okay, not what he wanted exactly, but probably not terrible. Just hit the snake. Makes sense. That takes away some of the explosiveness from Sam Pardee.
So I'd expect him to put, potentially all 3 Rogue Refiners could go on the Grimflayer. He could put 2 Rogue Refiners on Grimflayer and 1 on the 3/3 Walking Ballista. But Sam has a lot of options in combat, removing counters to kill the Rogue Refiners, and that comes up especially with the Trample of Grimflayer. So for example here, Sam could use 2 counters off the unblocked Walking Ballista to kill a Rogue Refiner. That would allow Grimflayer to survive combat and trample over for 2 damage. It's a good play. Not going to save him from the Ulamog that's coming, but he's doing the best with what he has.
Pardee, of course, unaware of that Ulamog as well, so he's playing as if he can do it, though he probably will have suspected.
Yeah. Even better than what I suggested is 1 counter off of each Walking Ballista, or just 2 off of that one.
Similar result. The Grimflayer is going to connect, carrying over a couple of trample damage to Brad, and letting Sam get that triggered ability.
Don't worry too much, Sam, because whatever you put second from the top is going to get exiled when Ulamog attacks you.
You don't want to tank out too far on that decision in this particular case. Looks like Brad must have drawn an attune with Ether, because there's no way he's casting any other spell than that. Otherwise, he would forego his opportunity to play Ulamog, and he's definitely going to do that here.
Yeah, now he gets Ulamog and an activation of Aetherworks Marvel. So,
jeez. It's pretty good.
Brad just completely in the driver's seat.
Going to take out both creatures. Sam's going to throw the counters at Brad to knock him down to 9. But let's be realistic here. That's probably game right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to puzzle out if there's any combination of cards where Sam can burn Brad out with a Walking Ballista. Oh, it's a good start. I mean, it's not a good start, but it's the start.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially a Verdurous Gearhulk next turn. It gets up to 7.
So Brad did activate the Aetherworks Marvel again, though this time he just hit a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, and Brad wastes no time in showing Sam Pardee a second copy of Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and Sam says, I have seen quite enough, sir, and that's game 1, going to Brad Nelson here in the finals. Brad, you know, he did have 2 draws, intentional draws late in the tournament, but he has yet to lose a game. It's pretty impressive, or excuse me, a match. It's pretty impressive to run the tables like this, even if he does have a few draws kind of in the mix there. We're going to be back with more live action here from Omaha and the finals right after this. To coverage here at Grand Prix Omaha. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Reed Duke. Hi, Reed.
Hey, Marshall.
Got a nice little finals for us here, don't we?
Yeah, it's been a nice tournament all the way around, and this is a good way to cap it off between 2 really awesome players. These guys have both really impressed me all weekend.
Yeah, 2 very, very high-level players indeed. And 2 different decks. That's kind of cool. We've got Black-Green Constrictor and Temur Aetherworks Marvel ready to fight it out for the trophy here. And it's going to be a tough one. Sam Pardee is going to have to win 2 games in a row, Reed. But we are talking about sideboarded games here where he brings in some pretty nice stuff.
Yeah, Sam's sideboard gives him more to work with than Brad's. The matchup should improve relative to how it was in game 1 for Sam.
That's good news for Sam, because game 1 did not look great for him.
No, and Brad actually did it the hard way. He didn't get a quick Ulamog off Marvel. He just survived. He treaded water long enough that he could actually cast Ulamog, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods being a big player there. But yeah, I mean, that does go to show that even if Sam is able to get Dispossess, Brad still has some game. Yeah, Brad will be sideboarding in... He'll be hedging his bets during sideboarding. He doesn't want to be so all in on the Marvel, so you could see him trimming the numbers on Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, Ulamog, potentially even Aetherworks Marvel. We have seen some players go down to 3 in post-sports games. But instead, he's going to be looking to Tireless Tracker, maybe Ulvenwald Hydra, Confiscation Coup, more of these like mid-range cards to fight a fair fight if he needs to.
Yeah, he told me on the air earlier that he likes bringing in that Ulvenwald Hydra when they've already played Dispossess and that kind of card to take away your Aetherworks Marvels, because the Hydra is in and of itself just very large and a very good blocker, must be dealt with, but also can go get Shrine of the Forsaken Gods and quite easily set up for a hardcast Ulamog within the next turn or two after that.
Yeah. There's not a lot that can tussle with the creatures from this black-green Constrictor deck, like an 8/8 or 9/9 Verdurous Gearhulk, but Ulvenwald Hydra can potentially do it. So I mentioned that what we're going to look for is a little bit different in these sideboarded games. We're going to look to see if Sam Pardee can land the disruptive attack Brad's hand type of cards at the key moments, like specifically turn 3 and 4, if he can resolve Transgress the Mind and Dispossess.
He does get to bring in 2 Dispossess and 4 Transgress, so he's going to have access to some number of those this game, most likely.
Yep, and that's a weapon he just completely did not have access to in game 1.
Ooh.
Totally new angle of attack.
Well, he's already attacking Brad here. Brad's on the mulligan.
Sam will be swapping out at least his Fatal Pushes, though he has had Never Return in his deck post-sideboard. That's just a good catch-all type of answer. Insurance against the Tireless Tracker getting out of hand. It can kill Ulvenwald Hydra, even Chandra Flamecaller like we saw it kill in the first game.
Yeah.
I think he'll still have that card in his deck, though he might overall trim a bit on his removal spells. Another sideboard card Sam Pardee's put to very good use over the course of the weekend, Ob Nixilis Reignited.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, if you had just handed me Sam's deck and said, Reed, go play the Grand Prix, in round 4, I wouldn't have known to sideboard an Ob Nixilis against Aetherworks Marvel. But having watched Sam play, the game plan seems to be, okay, I resolve Dispossess or Transgress the Mind as a backup. I take Aetherworks Marvel out of the picture and I force the Marvel player to play my game, and then my Tireless Trackers and my Ob Nixilises are going to ensure that I win it.
And that has been very effective for Sam. We've seen that happen a lot. Also, it does work well with Sam's main game plan, namely the Whining Constrictors, because those allow you to dominate mid-game matchups as well, as you said a little earlier. Really plays right into Sam's hands. I like the sideboard plan a lot. It looks straightforward, but it's subtly very, very good against Temur Marvel. Because I can't tell you how many times, Reed, I've seen Temur Marvel play the mid-range game and win. It just can do really well at it.
Yeah.
But I think this Black-Green Constrictor deck really does have a much higher peak in the mid part of the game than the Temur Marvel deck does, and can really overwhelm it.
You know, most decks in Standard have a mid-range plan B, but Black-Green Constrictor, this is the only thing it's doing, and it's doing it better than every other deck in the format.
You know, I was thinking, Reed, when you said if somebody would have handed me this deck and just had me play it, I think you would have done really well. This deck seems right up your alley, man.
It is, yeah. But my compliments to Sam have to do with the fine tuning of the sideboard plans, knowing every card, you know, every card has its place, even the ones that where it's not obvious.
Yeah.
Something like 2 Never Returns in the main deck and a 3rd in the sideboard. That shows that a player has really thought ahead about the post-board configurations in a variety of matchups.
Oh, yeah, sure. Wow. Another Traversy Ulvenwald, though, still no access to Delirium, so he's just searching up basics.
Yeah, so it looks like Sam kept a relatively slow hand, although I've also seen Sam make some intentional decisions to play around Censor over the course of the weekend, so it's possible that maybe he had a cheaper play or a better play on turn 3, but decided not to run it into a possible sensor.
Here's a tireless tracker now for Sam Pardee. That resolves. And oh boy, Evolving Wilds follow-up, Reed. That's about the ideal land to follow up a tireless tracker with.
Yeah, so what we're seeing this turn is Sam just very firmly pulling ahead in the mid-range battle. This means that Brad is basically not going to be able to beat Sam fair and square. He's going to have to get his Marvel if he wants to win this game.
And he's looking for it.
Oh, he has a tune with Ether in hand, so if he finds Marvel, that means he's all set both in terms of mana and energy.
Wow.
I have to imagine he's bottoming anything besides the Marvel here. Maybe a Harnessed Lightning or a Confiscation Coup to take care of the tracker.
Taking the tracker would be nice.
By the way, as soon as Brad makes his decision here, we're going to see Sam immediately crack the Evolving Wilds. Sam's an extremely precise player, which is one of the things that makes me a big Sam Pardee fan. He never moves a muscle till the opponent is done doing their thing. He forces Brad to make all the decisions without knowing what Sam is going to do, and he's going to crack the Evolving Wilds at the perfect moment here.
Yeah, Sam plays very crisply and also quickly.
There he goes.
Man, you called that. Holy smokes, he was all over it. You must have played against Sam Pardee a lot.
I have. Yeah, me and Sam have had some good battles. He usually beats me. He's one of my more feared opponents.
One of your many nemesis out here on the GP scene. Well, Sam is a Grand Prix end boss. There's no doubt about it. And he's looking to pick up a trophy here. He's going to need to win back-to-back games against a true GP end boss, Brad Nelson, especially in standard, but in general, he's just excellent. And here we go. Temur Etherworks Marvel for Brad Nelson.
So he did find it. He bottomed both cards, found it off the glimmer or his draw step.
Whew. Now the question is when? When do you spin? I guess he's going to let Sam go to combat, maybe try to snipe that tireless tracker if Sam attacks with it. Let's see what happens.
Now,
it's kind of risky just because now Sam can minus Nissa.
Yep. One of the cards where it matters most, the timing of Brad's activation, would be Chandra Flamecaller. I'm not sure if that's a card that he's still going to have in his deck after sideboarding, but that's probably the card he has to think most about. When is the best time to put this into play? Is it on my own main phase so I can use it, or is it perhaps after Sam has dedicated his attackers as going after Brad?
So Sam's going to put a Verdurous Gearhulk on the stack here. Do you think Brad took Censor out of his deck?
No, I don't think so. I think he could strongly consider using it in response to the Gearhulk, but he is going to continue waiting till the last possible moment. If Sam attacks here and Brad hits Ulamog, that's it. We're done.
So here we go. Spin the Etherworks Marvel. Let's see if he can find an Ulamog. I couldn't see, but I'm going to say no. You got to figure he would have played it already if he hit it.
I see him looking at Ether Meltdown, Tireless Tracker, Rogue Refiner. Oh, and there is a Chandra in there. So it's possible Brad took made a calculated decision about the Chandra. Oh, perhaps it's Harnessed Lightning. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, he's just going to have to get a Rogue Refiner here, Reed.
So he can chump block here, keep his life total high, even get another energy out of the bargain. I think that's what he should do. Just try to get another spin of the Marvel and hit Ulamog as quickly as possible. He now has 3 extremely potent threats on Sam's side of the board. The Nissa threatening to ultimate, the Tireless Tracker, and the 5/5 Trample Verdurous Gearhulk. So he's got to have a big turn here. Looks like he's got a Glimmer and a Harnessed Lightning that can produce energy for him.
Yeah, he may just bend the Harness Lightning here, target something and just to get the energy. Yeah, that's what he did.
Sam crossing his fingers.
Look at the fingers crossed. Oh, but Brad Nelson hit the Ulamog. Oh, Sam knew how close he was there. He had Nissa ready to ultimate plus a tireless tracker with 3 counters, and they're gone now. Oh, such a devastating blow from Brad Nelson hitting there.
Yeah, that was a high-stakes Marvel activation. Sam, if Brad didn't hit Ulamog, was in great position, but now the game continues.
Oh, it definitely continues on. Here's Transgress the Mind from Sam Pardee. Well, interestingly, there is another Ulamog in hand for Brad.
Yeah, he also has a Negate and Glimmer of Genius, so presumably deciding between Negate or Glimmer in response. I would lean toward casting Negate because if you Glimmer into something juicy, Sam could just take that card away, like Confiscation Coup or a Chandra or an Ulvenwald Hydra.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could scry to whatever, and he's just going to get stuff taken no matter what, isn't he?
The downside of casting Negate, of course, is that it's mana inefficient. That means Brad's going to have to untap and tap 4 mana again to Glimmer.
Also, do you think that Brad might have, like, if Brad looks at his hand and says, I have something that Sam just wants to take no matter what, then it lessens the load on having to draw these 2 cards from Glimmer, right?
That's a great point, and no matter what happens, Brad is still going to have the Ulamog in hand. But Ulamog is still a little ways off from being cast, and if the game goes 4 more turns, Sam's going to be dead to the Ulamog on the battlefield anyway.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's take a look. Negate, Ulamog, and Confiscation Coup.
And a very key card that Brad drew into there is Shrine of the Forsaken God.
I see that.
Which that's going to let him get to Ulamog 1 turn ahead of schedule.
Yeah, he can go tap land, Shrine.
Mm-hmm.
Cast it.
And because he has that gives him the flexibility to maybe leave the existing Ulamog on defense, since he doesn't feel like he has to actually use it to win the game. He can just win eventually once he hits 10 mana.
How dare you even suggest that? His hunger is ceaseless, right? Like, Ulamog's got to eat. Though I kind of agree, especially now that we've got this Nissa coming down and putting up a pretty impressive team.
Yeah, the exact number of cards in Sam Pardee's library could matter here, whether it's 2 attacks or 3 attacks. Could be the difference in what Brad wants to have planned for this game. All he's got is Negates, lands, and an Ulamog, so he can't really add anything to the battlefield here. It's just a matter of does he want to attack or does he not.
And you know what? He had the same idea you did. Let's get a library count here. First attack is breakfast read. Second attack's lunch, and nobody makes it home for dinner. Some people don't even make it to lunch. Looks like just over 40 cards in the library there for Sam. 42.
So that means an attack would take him to 22. A draw would take him to 21. So Brad can't kill in 2 turns. If he waits 1 turn, he can win in 2 attacks after that. But in either case, Sam is going to get at least 2 more turns out of this game.
That's exciting.
Yep, it means Sam is very much alive, despite getting Ulamogged in this game. We haven't seen many players continue to fight Brad Nelson after he gets the Ulamog, but Sam Pardee is doing it here in Game 2 of the finals.
Sam's cashing in clues here. That was to go to 2-1.
Sam still does have a return in the graveyard, as well as another never return in his hand, but of course we know that's not taking care of Ulamog.
You could target Ulamog with it.
Yeah, you sure could if you wanted to do nothing. If you wanted to dump it in your graveyard.
Yeah. How important is it going to be for Brad to try to spin that Aetherworks Marvel again this game?
He would love to be able to do it. It's not a lost cause just trying to win with the Ulamog in play and the Ulamog in his hand. But if he could get a little help, like a puzzle knot, buffering his life total and giving him one more spin on the Marvel, that could easily put him over the top in a pretty close game here.
Is that another shrine?
I didn't catch it.
Because if it was, that would change that dynamic a lot. Right? He's at how many lands right now? 6?
He
7?
has 7 in play, so it's
Okay.
going to be 2 turns from, or not this turn, but the next turn that he casts Ulamog.
All right, that's true either way, though, so it doesn't actually change the timing.
So just to recap, Sam Pardee had 42 cards in his library, drew 1 down to 41. So now 2 hits from the Ulamog would have Sam dead in 2 turns. But the question is, does Brad Nelson feel confident that he can survive an attack from all those creatures and a Nissa -2ing? The answer is no. He's going to play defense again.
Passes the turn back to Pardee. And Pardee's done the thing that is most powerful against Ulamog, which is you go wide.
Yep. Ulamog can only block one of these creatures. So, assume he's going to neutralize the 6/6 trample Verdurous Gearhulk, but with a Nissa in play, I think another Nissa in hand,
Oh
those
boy.
6 plants and Rishkar can become pretty large. Something like a Winding Constrictor would put Pardee over the top. I think if he actually has a Nissa in hand, he can threaten exactly lethal here.
Are you serious?
Right now, he's got 2 3-power plants. Is that right?
I'm seeing 4 2-powered plants and 1 3-powered plant.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so that's 14 damage, assuming Brad blocks the Gearhulk. And another Nissa.
Hey, Sam is actually doing it.
Another Nissa would add 6 unblocked
Looks
power
like
for an exactly 20.
He just wants to get the zombie?
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's really funny that we made that joke and he did it anyway. So 2, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I guess we're going to see return here, since that's why Sam did that. Certainly wasn't a mistake on Sam's part. He knew.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he did it pre-combat.
Not sure. Brad actually did counter return, though. He played negate on it. No zombie for Sam Pardee. Interesting stuff. He's also got a Never to Return in his graveyard already
Yeah, he does.
from earlier. So, unclear.
So Brad is facing down 6 attackers. He needs to neutralize 4 of them if he wants to survive. Casting Ulamog and blocking with it, that's 3 right there, but that's not enough. That would have exactly 6 damage coming through for lethal.
Yeah, having not attacked yet, Sam Pardee can simply take the hit from Ulamog. His library can certainly take the hit as well. Is Sam Pardee going to defeat an Ulamog with a bunch of plant tokens? It's not the most likely thing to kill an Ulamog or to defeat an Ulamog, but we may be seeing it here.
Okay, this is a good card from Brad.
Glimmer of Genius. Bottom.
Bottom quickly. Anything that produces energy,
He did
can let
find
him spin.
We found a Harness Lightning there. And a land. So that does give him another spin.
I'm not 100% sure what he would be looking for. with the activation. I mean, Chandra would for sure do it if he has it in his deck.
Post board, because he
Yeah.
does play a couple of them in the main.
Oh my God, Brad hit another Ulamog, but it's not enough.
He hit Ulamog and it wasn't enough. He
No.
loses the game.
Sam Pardee effectively beat 2 Ulamogs that game.
What the heck? Unreal. All right, well, game 3 then.
Wow.
How many times have I don't know if I've ever seen somebody spin Aetherworks Marvel, hit Ulamog, and be like, yeah, no, that wasn't what I was looking for next game.
It doesn't happen often, but Sam was able to construct a board state that was very resilient to the Eldrazi Titan.
Oh, flower power indeed. That was insane.
That was so cool because Brad was sitting there with an indestructible 10/10 blocker and multiple negates in hand. So Sam was like, I have to find a way to beat your board with what I have on the board. I'm not going to be able to rely on, a removal spell or casting another planeswalker, anything like that. But he did it by, using the Nissa first for enough plant tokens and then a couple minus 2 activations to make a giant army. And it was just enough. Just
enough.
exactly enough.
Gah. Wow. All right, so Sam Pardee even things up, and of course we're going to get a game 3 here in the finals. It will not be so easy, Brad Nelson. You're going to have to earn this one from Sam. What an interesting game that was, too.
I wonder if that will make Brad rethink his sideboarding decisions. Again, I don't know whether or not he had Chandra Flamecaller in his deck after sideboard there, but she certainly would have been great in that game.
Oh, she would have been the lawnmower for those plants, I'll tell you that.
Even something like a Radiant Flames, although that's not a card that I would traditionally think of as being for this matchup. Brad also now gets to be on the play, so he might be even more interested in negates, though it looked like he had both copies of negate in his deck even on the draw. But if he can negate that crucial turn 3 dispossess, that's a way for him to trump Sam's sideboard plan against him.
Yeah, protect his main game plan. This is going to be a sweet one. Who do you think is going to win, Reed?
I got to pick Brad. Nobody's beat him so far this weekend. He has to be on the play here. He's been playing well. He's been finding Ulamog when he needs it. It's hard to bet against him. What do you think?
I think Sam's going to win. I think he's got the game. I think he's got the game plan for the sideboard. I think his deck is consistent and resilient and has a lot of different looks.
Man, if he can win the game we just watched him win, then he can do anything.
Nobody's going to touch Sam Pardee after this one. Plant tokens versus an Eldrazi. And the plant tokens won. Unreal.
Remember back to the moment where Sam was crossing his fingers, please don't hit Ulamog. I win
Yeah.
immediately if you hit anything besides Ulamog.
That was
Well,
that
it wasn't
game.
enough.
That's crazy. That was that same game, wasn't it? All right, players taking a look at their opening hands here in the finals.
Final game of the tournament.
This is going to decide our winner. We've got 2 keeps here, and We're underway. Attune with Ether off of a Botanical Sanctum here from Brad Nelson. That's his turn 1 play. That's what he wants to see.
That's what he wants, yep.
Making sure he hits his land drops, getting that color fixing, and of course, that critical 2 energy, working his way up towards a potential Aetherworks Marvel activation early in the game, where if he does hit Ulamog at that scenario, the game pretty much ends. We have not seen that happen here against Sam Pardee, at least not in that really early turn 4 type scenario. We have seen Ulamogs, not good enough.
This is going to be a big turn. I see from Brad's hand that he has nice plays lined up for turns 3 and 4, but this is a key moment where if Sam can actually stick a potent 2-drop like a Grim Flayer or a Winding Constrictor, it can give him the advantage he needs to continue fighting through a good hand from Brad.
Let's see what he has. Traverse the Ulvenwald. He's kind of taking things slow here.
And yeah, I have seen Sam take things slow in the face of a possible censor. Brad passes rather than play Tireless Tracker. And Censor takes care of Nissa.
Wow, that's a nice one for for Brad Nelson. Anytime you can nail something that powerful with a sensor, you got to be happy. No threats on the battlefield after 3 turns for Sam Pardee. Right where Brad Nelson wants to be. What does he have for this turn? Land Glimmer, leaving up some counters maybe.
Tireless Tracker, make a clue.
Oh, yeah. A lot of good options for Nelson.
I love this position from Brad because he gets to he's got a free window to cast something powerful here, and then it puts Sam in a position where if he does cast Dispossess, one of his best sideboard cards, it means he's just falling further behind. Yeah, he gets to take out the Marvels, doesn't have to worry about them for the rest of the game, but in the immediate situation, he's falling behind.
Sam's just going to run out another copy of Nissa Voice of Zendikar. This one's going to resolve. Sam plays an Evolving Wilds Post, and here's that Glimmer of Genius for Brad. Now he is facing a little bit of pressure. We saw Nissa get pretty out of hand last game. Though she's not quick. You know, she makes a plant here. Next turn, though, can absolutely have a big impact on the game. We've seen Sam go untap, play a 2-drop, play another 2-drop or a 3-drop, and then minus Nissa. And if one of those was a Winding Constrictor, all of a sudden he's got this huge board state.
Yeah, the Nissa make a plant is a great setup play because it puts Nissa at an amount of loyalty where she can minus on back-to-back turns. Brad found an Ulvenwald Hydra, no Marvel yet.
So he has an Ulamog in hand too. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. So Hydra into Ulamog is a good long-term plan for him. Can he make it that far?
Yeah, and hey, look, he's got a Tireless Tracker here to kind of carry him through this middle section of the game as well. Things looking good for Brad Nelson. He seems to have a lot of tools to get the job done.
Yeah, and let's not forget if the Tireless Tracker lives, next turn Brad goes 6 land, make a clue, Ulvenwald Hydra, make another clue. Then he's got a lot of mana and a lot of cards in the bank in the form of those clues. Oh, this is just what I wanted to see from Sam.
Oh, but another sensor from Brad.
Wow, it would have been great, something that can both add to the board and take away Brad's Tireless Tracker. But, oh man, the sensor there, that could be the key play of the game.
Could be.
Giving Brad this window where he can safely resolve another threat, make another clue, and look, he's got both Shrine of the Forsaken God, so an 8th land gives him 10 mana next turn.
Wow, this is Brad Nelson down the stretch, potentially taking down a GP here against Sam Pardee. Sam has used up his mana and played spells, but 2 sensors have kept him off balance. Here's Transgress the Mind. That is good enough to take away Ulamog.
Yep, that means the game's going to continue, but I still love Brad's position here with 3 clues in play, dominant board position, another card to draw off of Rogue Refiner. He's got the gas flowing and the mana to do devastating things with it.
Absolutely. So what can Sam do to fight back? He went Tireless Tracker, Land, Go, and Nissa is on 6. Now, what about keeping an eye on Nissa for an ultimate here, potentially, Reed?
Yeah, that could be a big factor in this game too. Brad thankfully has creatures that can pressure Nissa, but plant tokens make good blockers even for something as large as an 8/8 Ulvenwald Hydra.
Remember, the Hydra has reach, but not trample.
So we could see something here like Sam chump blocking creatures, untapping and using a removal spell, somehow squeaking by and getting that Nissa to 7 loyalty. If he can do that, then it's anybody's game.
It is where she ultimates from. If she can, Sam's going to get to draw a bunch of cards and gain a bunch of life and maybe outcard Brad Nelson, though Sam's in a precarious position because an Ulamog drawn at this point is just going to get cast immediately and could completely end the game.
And Sam's weapon of choice is Dispossess, which gets rid of the Marvels but not the Ulamogs. Right. So once we get to this stage in the game, there's not a lot Sam can do to protect himself from a top deck Ulamog.
Radiant Flames from Nelson, and that's a huge play for him because that means this Nissa ultimate plan, it's not going to happen.
Nope. He had the Tireless Tracker first, so he's able to get his out of range. Radiant Flames for only 2. And now Sam's left with nothing.
Wow, another devastating blow as Brad Nelson inches ever closer to that Grand Prix trophy. His brother won not too long ago, and Brad said he'd like to steal that thunder back. Thank you very much. Reminding everybody who the King of Standard is. It's Brad Nelson. And he is looking to be in very good shape to take down Grand Prix Omaha. Sam Pardee's going to cycle Dissenter's Deliverance, scrapping it out here. But he's facing one heck of a board, a Tireless Tracker, an Ulvenwald Hydra, a Rogue Refiner. And you said this before, but there's 3 clues there too in case Brad somehow were to run out of gas. Now, this is a start for Sam. He's going to use Ob Nixilis to take down the Hydra. He will lose Ob Nixilis here, unfortunately for Sam. But, hey, at least he got that massive threat off the battlefield.
Yep, this allows him to survive another turn. It's such a tough spot, though, to think, okay, even if I can deal with these immediate threats, Brad still has all these clues. And, it's like, even if I deal with the board, I'm still so far behind.
Oh, it's going to take a monumental effort from Pardee here, no doubt about it. Chances are slim that he comes out with the trophy. As now Brad applying pressure, he's ahead on basically every metric. Life total, lands, board state, cards or potential cards in hand, energy. He just kind of got him on all metrics here. Okay, traverse the Ulvenwald. This will give him access to any creature he wants in his deck.
Yeah, he can produce the biggest creature on the board, which will at least allow him to protect himself.
That's going to be a Verger Skir Hulk then, Reed?
That's what I would predict.
Yeah. Can make an 8/8. Sure, it will feel like a precarious situation for Sam Pardee, but he's been in that for a while now. Oh, and another sensor from Brad Nelson. Is that game? That's going to do it. Brad Nelson's your champion here from Grand Prix Omaha. Temur Aetherworks Marvel does end up winning the tournament. And in the hands of one of the most capable players in the room, Brad Nelson defeats Sam Pardee 2-1 in an exciting 3-game match. And he's going to take home the trophy, Reed.
Yeah, Sam Pardee did everything he could to, trim down the number of Temur Etherworks Marvel players in this event. He was taking them down all weekend, but Brad Nelson was just the one guy he could not get through.
That was it. All right, that's going to do it for the finals. We're going to have an interview with Brad in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.